welcome to kwickTrip. This is our very first episode, so I'm so excited that you've decided to join us. I'm your host, Amber Wyatt, and over the next few months, I'm going to take you all around the world. That's right, we're going everywhere, from Africa to Asia, North America, and I'm even going to take you down under to Australia. But I'm not going to do it alone. I've enlisted the help of a very talented and varied team of panelists who you'll soon get to meet. But I want to hear from you as well. So please be sure to follow my Quickie account and tell me all about your travel stories. So let's fasten our seatbelts because this week we're taking a quick trip to Cancun, Mexico.
So I just got back from holiday in and around Cancun on the Yucatan Peninsula. Hopefully I said that right. So it's hot on my mind. Laura Lee, I know you were also planning a trip here. What was it about Cancun that stood out for you?
Hi Amber, I've seen all your wonderful adventures in Cancun and it just makes it all the more desirable. I'm actually here in LA and I've been here for about 6 weeks now where it's winter or fall as they call it, and it's quite cool despite the sun today. So what stood out for me about Cancun is that it's so close. Coming from Australia it's quite a long distance, whereas here it's just a hop, skip and a jump over the border. Endless days of summer would be fantastic right now, and a few nice drinks on the beach, getting lost in a book. It sounds so inviting.
Now, Carl, you haven't been to Cancun, but you have been to Mexico. You were just filming in Mexico City, I believe. So I want to know, did you find it difficult dealing with the currency exchange and also the language barrier?
Amber, sometimes it can be a bit tricky, especially with the conversion. When I was there, I think it was about 20 Mexican pesos to $1. So being a big whole number, it was quite easy to work out. But you also got to be careful of those locals that are trying to squeeze that extra bit of money out of you. So it's very handy to be able to know what it is and think quick. And as for the language, a lot of the restaurants now have English menus, so that makes it easy. But even though it's awesome fun just selecting random things on the menu anyway. But my biggest advice would be to learn some Spanish. The locals really, really appreciate it. Even if it's just words like please and thank you, it goes a long way.
And safety is always a major concern when traveling. So Tara, as the founder of a travel company that takes people to this part of the world, is there something you warn travelers on before they arrive?
Yeah, well, I think like anywhere, you just really need to keep your wits about you when you're traveling, especially at night. I always recommend walking in groups of 2 or 3. 2 is good, but 3 is better. And just really to be aware of your surroundings. And then specifically for Isla Holbox, which is where we take our groups, I always recommend to bring strong bug spray because the mosquitoes there are both annoying and potentially dangerous if they're Zika carriers.
So we've spoken about the basics when it comes to Cancun, Mexico, how to get there, what you need to know. So now I want to hear those bucket list things that people just can't miss out on when traveling to this beautiful part of the world.
Well, Amber, I think once you delve a little deeper into Mexico, you do see that there's a bit of Mayan history there. So as glorious as the beaches are, I don't think a trip to Mexico would be complete without a trip to the Mayan ruins. I believe the area is called Chichen Itza. So if you were going to Cancun, I would definitely recommend going and checking out the Mayan pyramids and learning all the history and culture behind it. I think it's a fantastic, fantastic area to explore.
Carl, as our resident stuntman, I feel like this is a great topic for you. What sort of crazy adventures are on your list if you were to travel to Cancun?
Hey Amber, I definitely have to check out one of the eco-archaeological theme parks down there where you can jump off the cliffs into the water, do a bit of snorkeling, all that kind of stuff. I do also hear that there is some bungee jumping in Cancun, which would be awesome fun after a few margaritas, that's for sure. I'd also like to check it out from a skydiver's point of view. I think from up in a plane you'd be able to see the crystal blue waters and all the sand, and the bird's eye view would just be amazing. So why not jump out of it while you're up there, I guess. Bit of fun, and they would definitely be my picks.
For some of us, a bucket list isn't just adventure. I mean, for me, it's also what I eat. Jodie, as our resident foodie, what's on your list when it comes to taste testing Cancun, Mexico?
Well, that's a really good question, Amber. My experience with Mexican food has pretty much been only in Australia and North America. So it's very heavy, it's very greasy, it's lacking some freshness. So Cancun, Mexico, the idea that's actually coming to me is seafood down by the water, find a local fisherman, get some beautiful, whole fish, throw in some cilantro, lime, mix it up a little bit, find some of those really clean, crisp, fresh flavors that we just don't seem to have here. And throw in a Corona and a bit of sunshine. To me, this sounds like a perfect day.
Lucky last, Tara, are these the sort of activities you put on your to-do list when bringing travellers to somewhere like Cancun, Mexico? Or maybe is there something that we've missed?
Well, these are all great activities. And with For the Love of Travel, we try to do very off the beaten path activities. So visiting some of the smaller towns or islands nearby, I think, is a really great idea. They have a different vibe from Cancun. It's very authentic and just truer to the Mexican spirit. I also think visiting a cenote in the area is a really great idea. These are sinkholes that have created freshwater springs, and they make for a very refreshing swim.
I do believe that you've just returned from Cancun. As a female traveller, did you feel safe?
Yeah, Carl, I guess safety is always the number one concern when travelling, and for a female, it's probably even more so. During my recent trip to Cancun, though, I did do a group travel, an organised tour. So that was he had the added bonus that the group guides, they'd been there before, they knew the area, they knew where to go, where not to go, and also safety in numbers. So I didn't really have a doubt in my mind when I was there. And you've always just got to be aware of your surroundings. Don't go certain places after dark, and I think that's anywhere that you travel. In saying that, I did plan a tour, travel to Cancun with my partner, and I do plan on going back just in a couple situation, but I'm not sure if I would go as a solo woman, but that's just my own personal choice. It was very safe.
For anyone who's travelled a lot, we know it's not always smooth sailing. But these are often the stories that become the ones that you end up telling the most. So today I want to know who's had an oh no moment when travelling to Cancun, Mexico or its surrounding areas.
Hey Amber, an oh no moment didn't happen to me personally, but my dad. When you enter Mexico, they give you a little slip of paper when you go through customs, and you need to keep that bit of paper for when you exit the country. He lost his bit of paper and he got to the plane to get on, and they wouldn't let him on without it. So by the time he worked out where to get a new one and how to fill it all out again, he had missed his flight, and then trying to get another flight proved impossible as it was a very, very busy time of the year.
Amber, I'd really like to hear from you on this one. Were there any oh no moments on your recent trip?
Hey Laura Lee, as I said before, I think there's oh no moments on every
trip that you go on, and it often makes for the best stories. In Mexico, it was a pretty smooth run. I was traveling with a group, and it was all pretty much catered for, although I didn't know Spanish, but I'd learned just enough to kind of make people believe I did. So I would say, you know, hello and goodbye and thank you, and the good old no hablo español. So no, I don't speak Spanish. But if you gave them those few words, they thought I did. So here I was engaging with people in conversation, and then they would start telling me these long-winded stories. There was this one person in particular told me this great story, and he was laughing, and all I could finally reply when I got a word in was no hablo español. So learn some Spanish.
Well, that's it for today's quick trip to Cancun, Mexico and its surrounding areas. I hope you've enjoyed the show and also hopefully learnt a little bit as well. Join us on Thursday as we get off the beaten track and talk more than just travel. And I want to hear your oh no moments when it comes to Cancun, so be sure to let me know. I hope to see you then.